a front row seat to the untold stories as we talk about how to live life on your terms. You're officially part of the inner circle. Welcome to Courtside with Courtney. And don't worry, I comped your ticket. Welcome back to another episode of Courtside with Courtney. Today, I want to talk all about influencing, content creation. I want to talk about my personal journey, get into some of y'all's questions, because this is a question I get a lot. And I feel like it really deserves its own, just hit the mic, its own episode, because there really is a lot of information. When I started over 10 years ago, influencing wasn't really a thing. I knew of a couple girls that had really large followings, but they were all like upward of a million plus. And it felt extremely unattainable. It felt like inspiring, obviously, and cool, but it felt like there was only like 5 people, maybe honestly, not even. I can think of like 4 people doing it at the time. There really weren't like micro influencers and all these other things that have sort of become categories now at this point. Influencing wasn't really this entire industry, even content creation, than it is now. Now we've come such a long way, and I feel so excited and honored to have a part in that and to be able to like be on this journey with you guys for so long. Like, it's amazing to get to do what I do every day because I love it so much. And so I thought it would just be fun to dive into it. I think there's still a lot of unknown quantities and factors surrounding this industry. People still have questions and they're curious. Maybe you guys want to do it. Maybe you're listening and you want to get into this industry, or maybe you're just genuinely curious. You have influencers and content creators that you like to follow and you just want to understand like a little bit more about the behind the scenes, what goes into it. So let's talk about it today. I started 10 years ago. At the time, I didn't really, the term influencer again wasn't a thing. It was bloggers. Back in the day, we were bloggers, and people had a blog and they had an Instagram account sometimes. And so that's how I started. I had an Instagram account and a blog, and I would post on my blog. I think my first ever blog post was gym makeup, like how to look hot at the gym, how to feel put together, and how to look good at the gym, which is so funny because I was just thinking I need to revamp that. And maybe I'll do Instagram stories or like a reel or a TikTok about that soon. Because it was a conversation that I was having with a friend today about showing up to the gym with like a little bit of makeup on. Personal preference makes me work out harder. I feel like when I feel a little hot, the job just gets done, not for Pilates. I will say I typically show up to Pilates barefaced because there's no mirrors in there, but it's kind of like feel good, look good, work out hard. But anyways, that was my first blog post. And I did it for a lot of reasons. I think at the time I didn't do it going into it being like, I want to be an influencer and I want to like get, make a lot of money. And I want to do all this I want to like have this whole career based on sharing products. My sort of personal entryway into creation was that I wanted to help people. I wanted to help women feel beautiful and feel confident. And that's still at the core of what I do. Whether it's advice or beauty tutorials or whatever it is, I still want to help people and women feel confident. Like, that's my main goal, and the thing that kind of drives me every day to keep doing this is helping people and helping people feel confident and have that like self-esteem and feel great about themselves and grounded and happy and all these things. And I was inspired by that. I was always the person growing up that my friends would ask for advice from, whether it came to like a relationship or they had a crush on somebody, or it was, I'm getting ready and I'm going on a date. What makeup do I wear? I'm in Sephora. I'm in Ulta. I don't know what foundation to get. I have oily skin, and I have a breakout here, or I have really dark under eye circles. What concealer do I use? I want a blush that makes me look awake. Like, what do I need to get? And I was realizing that beauty had been a passion of mine for so long. And I would do my friends' makeup for job interviews, date nights, like concerts, like all sorts of fun things. Even growing up playing competitive volleyball, I would sit and I would braid everybody's hair on the side. I would sit and I would braid everybody's hair. And then by the time the tournament came, my freaking hands were so tired from braiding 12 girls' hair. But I just always loved this idea of helping girls and women feel good about who they were through these little tips and tricks, because confidence really is one of those things that needs to be, it's deeply rooted. Like, true confidence is deeply rooted in knowing who you are. and keeping promises to yourself. But there's also more surface level confidence that when you feel good and you get an outfit that you really like you walk into a room, you have a little more pep in your step. There's different layers of confidence. And I genuinely do believe that true confidence comes and it's much more deeply rooted, which we can go into. That's like an entirely separate episode that I would be really excited to film. But this is look good, feel good, like inside out, outside in is always what I say. So I was like inspired and excited by this idea of helping women feel beautiful because I was doing it on a level with my friends. I was doing it where my friend would call me and she would say, hey, I'm going on this date. What kind of like eyeshadow do you think I should do to go with this outfit? And I don't know, how do I even apply this? And so I was giving my friends recommendations, tips and tricks. I was doing their makeup for these things. I was giving them like little insights or suggestions. And then they were really liking it. And they liked the outcome. They felt good about it. And so they would tell their friend. And then their friend would text me and I would get this text from like a random number that I didn't have. And it would be like, hey, my name's so-and-so. Like my name's Ashley. I'm friends with blah, blah, blah. Like, could you tell me I'm in Ulta right now. I'm in Sephora. What do I need to get if I want a bronzer that's like not going to make me look orange? And so I was getting all these questions and then it was friends of friends questions. And I thought, okay, I love this. How do I do this on a grander scale? And at the time I was working in the beauty department at Nordstrom and I was also teaching kids guitar and piano. So I was like, your girl was hustling. Okay. And I thought, well, how can I do this on the side to start to help more people? Because if I put this content and these things that I'm creating, these tips and tricks and these tutorials in one place, then I'm helping more people. I'm minimizing the work for myself. I was working smarter, not harder. So now when someone asks me, oh, do you have a recommendation for a foundation for oily skin? It can be, oh, I have this whole blog post about it. Actually, here you go. So I felt like, how could I condense this in a way that would help people? I didn't go into it thinking I'm going to make a lot of money. I can't wait. Like it was, or like even really wanting a full blown career out of this, to be honest. Like I knew I loved beauty and that was like my passion was beauty, helping people feel good and that confidence factor. But I didn't think like, oh, I can't wait to work with a brand. Like that was never the intention. It was always to help. And I think you have to ask yourself if you're interested in doing this first, like what's your intention? What's your why? Because you have to have a why. I want to first say this is like the coolest career I get. So, I mean, it's not life or death. Like we're not over here saving people. There are cooler careers, a million cooler careers as far as like teachers, like helping, youth grow and learn and doctors and saving lives. And like, obviously, like I don't mean that. I mean, I feel blessed. I feel like I'm doing what I am meant to be doing in the creation of DIBS and everything that we have going on. I genuinely feel like I'm here for my purpose right now. Like I'm creating things that I love to help people that I care about. That feels really good to me. So to me, this feels like the coolest thing in the world because I feel really grateful for that. So I want to say, first and foremost, I feel incredibly grateful. I think a lot of influencers and content creators come on and they sound like whiny and they complain and this is hard. And it's like, hard? Like, why don't you show up and work at XYZ amount shift and do this and that? And like, so yes, all that is true. It is fun. But it is also hard because it is a job and it is a career. And so starting a brand is very hard. Creating content, waking up, working for yourself, it is hard. It's hard in a different way. And so I don't say that in an ignorant way. Like I'm well aware being a teacher and sitting there and you're affecting, people's like kids' lives and you're working your ass off and all that. So like, I just want to put that disclaimer out there. Like I'm well aware every job is hard to a degree. But I do also want to be able to say that and then paint a very realistic picture for you guys of what this looks like, the good, bad, and the ugly, because I think that's going to be the most helpful. So just know I'm coming from a place of I am incredibly grateful. I genuinely feel like I am doing what I'm meant to be doing and I could not do it without you guys. And that is never lost on me, not for one single second. So I want to say that before I get into the good, bad, and the ugly, because I also want to be able to paint like a realistic picture for you guys about what is so cool and also what is hard. So disclaimer, I am rooted in reality and I know that I'm very lucky to be doing this every day. Just want to get that out there. The question that I get asked the most frequently is like, well, I just want to start. And I have my phone because I have notes and you guys asked questions. Where do I even start? How do I get past the awkward stage? That was the question. How do I start? I feel embarrassed to start this on my personal account. That's another phase or another question from one of you guys. I've always wanted to do something online, but I'm too scared. This is funny, but damn it, I know I'd be a hit. I love that for you. I think that, and this is what I want to be honest and like very clear about. The way that you start is that you start. And I know that sounds obvious, but it isn't. Because people sit and they try to formulate and they try to sit down and make sure that everything's perfect. And you guys, I decided to start a blog. I had no idea what I was doing. I had a job. I had 2 jobs. And I stayed up one night all night, meaning I did not sleep at all night. And I learned to code a blog because I didn't have money to pay someone thousands of dollars to create the beautiful blog that I have now, which I did pay someone thousands of dollars to create. What I started with was like one of those formulated ones where you just like plug it in, okay? And I learned to code so that I could change the colors on things and customize it a little bit. And then I used this format and I stayed up all night doing it because I fucking wanted it. And I wanted it that bad. Like I was that into this idea. I was that inspired and excited by this idea that I stayed up all night and I did it. And I think that's the kind of passion that you have to have behind what you're doing to be cut out for this, because this is not easy. Again, I'm grateful and it is the biggest blessing to do this, especially at the level that I do this at. And again, that's a never lost on me, but it takes a lot of grit. And so to the answer to like how to get past the awkward stages, you just do it. You just put a video up and you don't worry about it being perfect. You just do your best. I was also taking all the photos for my blog, my Instagram account at the time at the dumpster outside of our apartment. Literally, there was only this like wall. It was kind of this brick area that I thought was pretty. And then there was this sort of limestone area and then this area with greenery in the background. And there was a literal, I'll find the pictures for you guys. There was a literal dumpster behind or to the side of me. I have a vivid memory, a dumpster to the right of me. And I'm sitting there taking photos. Like just gotta do it. It's not going to be perfect at first. You're going to look back at your first photos, your first video, your first outfits, your first whatever it is that you're doing and be like, oh my God, this is mortifying. You just are. So just know that and get over it. And I'm going to give you guys some tough love on this too, because I really think that this is important to say. You are going to get criticized for what you do, no matter what you do. You can be the best in the game. You can be doing this on a high level that like I am. I've done this for 10 years. I've evolved past platforms. I've evolved through things that we've gone through as a society and as a culture and as a country and all these things. And in 10 years of doing this, I've seen the industry change so much. And the more successful I've gotten, while it is more amazing in some ways, the more you get shit on. So you think being embarrassed now is a thing? You got to get over it. You think people talk shit about you now? You think your 5 best friends, you're not, hopefully not your best friends, but you think your 5 like random people from school talk shit about you now? Just wait till you have 1 million followers. Then you've got thousands of people that like to talk shit about you. And that's how they spend their free time. Instead of having a hobby, people will quite literally be obsessed with tearing you down because that's how sad, lonely, pathetic, and jealous they are. So you kind of have to get over it because if you want to do this on a high level, people will shit on you. They'll shit on you 1,800 times more when you get more successful. So you kind of have to have a thicker skin and get a backbone surrounding that because it gets worse. It doesn't get better. It gets better in the sense that you're grounded and rooted in who you are and you feel like you earned it and you deserve to be here. And you know that you know what the fuck you're talking about. And like, that's not something someone can take away from you. However, people never stop like shitting on you and hating on you. If anything, like it gets significantly worse the more successful you get. So I just want to say, if you're feeling like you can't get over that hump, it's probably not the career for you. And I say that with the most amount of love. I also like the idea of the fact that this industry has evolved so much. There's so many other positions. I want to do a part 2 of this with Audrey because there's so many other positions within this world and this industry. You've got agents and managers and assistants and, you know, all these other things, coordinators and all these other roles, editors of people in this world. And there's a lot of really cool things that you can do in this realm. In the content creation, influencer, public person space, there's a lot of other careers and jobs you can do within this if you don't feel like being in front of the camera is for you. If you do feel like it's for you, I would say just do it. Get over it. You got this. fuck what anybody else thinks about you. I mean, they're going to judge you anyways. You could be the worst. You could be the greatest. You could be the prettiest, the ugliest, the skinniest, the fattest. It does not matter. People will always judge you. You have to get over it. It's just part of what comes with the territory. So I would say just knowing that it doesn't get easier. The judgment just starts with your friends judging you from college that sat next to you 3 people over that really never liked you in the first place. Like, it starts with them judging you. I have crazy stories from when I first started out. There's this girl that I went to school with that I thought I was friends with, kind of like not best friends, but we were friends loosely. We were in the same friend group in college, my freshman year. And the minute that I started doing this, she was like always so nice and so supportive and cool. And then she just started sending me like hate DMs. Shout out Shannon, by the way. But she started sending me hate DMs. And I'm like, what is happening right now? Like, I was looking through all these DMs and I'm like, I thought it was a troll, like person I didn't know. And I'm like, I know this person. And I like thought that, what? Like, I was so utterly confused. So just know that there's always going to be like one of those. And it could be, you could be the kindest person. Like, the amount of things I talked to this girl about, support her, be there for her. Like, it does not matter. It does not matter. It is not about you. Period. So just know at the end of the day that it will only get worse. You want 1 million followers? Just wait. It only gets worse. So just know that you kind of got to shake it off. I really wanted to like double down on that point because I do think it's really important to just note that people will just continue to shit on you the more successful you get. And you just have to be okay knowing that you can be the juiciest peach and there's still going to be somebody that doesn't like peaches. It's okay. You don't have to be for them. This girl on TikTok made a video the other day, like not understanding why I make advice videos for relationship or like dating and how could I, wear the fruits of my labor. And it was this like whole video that she made. And to the people that want to show up and judge you, I say this. The judgments that you make about me, just know this. And this, I want to speak for, I think a lot of people feel how I feel. And if you're starting out, you as well. Just know that when someone is talking negatively about you, it isn't about you. It's about them. When it's like that expression, they're pointing one finger at you, they're pointing all these other fingers sitting there back at themselves, right? And it's so true because at the end of the day, I'm rooted and grounded and genuinely love myself as a person. I've been through some shit. I am resilient. I'm here and I'm always going to be here because this is the person that I wake up and next to and go to sleep next to every night. It's me. So I have my back and you can say whatever you want about me. It doesn't affect how I feel about myself. It really doesn't. It doesn't affect what I think of me and what I do on a daily basis. Just know that it affects what I think about you. So whenever you go and you talk shit about someone else, just know that all you're doing, your intention is to shit on somebody else, but what you're really doing is shitting on yourself. Just know that like, the joke's on you. And at the end of the day, if you want to live your life that way, it's your prerogative. And it's also your funeral because people that live with that type of ugliness inside of them will never get anywhere in life. So to that I say, get well soon. Next question. Would love to know the role of a manager. Don't have one, been considering one. Okay. So if you're just starting out and you're creating content, step 1, make sure that you're doing it for the right reason. I didn't make $1 for 3 years. Isn't that crazy? I didn't make $1 for 3 years and I still did it because I loved it so much. I was inspired by it. I was excited about it. I loved the feedback I was getting. Now, again, that's not the world that we live in now. There are like micro influencers. It just really wasn't a thing 10 years ago. I didn't have a roadmap. I had no idea what to do. I was figuring it out and I was doing it whenever I could. Consistency is key and you'll hear that a lot. But that can look differently for different people. Consistency can look like I have a job and I have a 9 to 5. And so I can only post one TikTok a day and I film my TikTok from 5 to 6 and then I relax for the day. Fine. Post one TikTok a day. Consistency doesn't have to look the same for you as it does for her and for her and for him. It can look however it needs to look for you, but just find some sort of rhythm with yourself. I think that's one of the biggest challenges in working for yourself is you kind of just have to set your own rhythm. And that can be difficult and hard to like let your motivation be the reason you signed up. Let your motivation be what inspired you in the first place. So are you doing it for the right reasons? Do you have a why? If you're just doing it to make money, this is a crowded space, and I would suggest there's like easier ways to make money. If you're doing it because you love it and you're inspired and you're excited by it and you want to make money, go for it. So I would say make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, because audiences are smart. People pick up on things. And when someone shows up and they're not authentic to who they are, it's glaringly obvious, especially in 2024, especially on TikTok. Like viewers can smell bullshit a mile away. So when you seem disingenuous and not sincere, it's extremely obvious in my opinion. So A, do it for the right reasons. B, be inspired. Have something that makes you you. Like show up and remember that you're your superpower. Show up and remember that if people are here to follow you, they want you. Don't try to be me. Don't try to be someone else that's successful. If you look at other people and what they're doing and you try to use that as a recipe to do this yourself, you will fail, because you have your own ingredients. You have like a basket of your own things, and you need to make something with that. You don't want to look at what someone else is making and try and go knock on their door and borrow their sugar, because it's not going to translate the same way and it won't feel authentic. So I really encourage you guys to do you. And just know that if you like what someone else is doing, it's okay to get inspiration and be inspired by the fact that they're doing something cool and they're killing it. But try to find your own identity and voice and angle and like your own thing, your own niche, because that's what people are going to be drawn to you for. If they want to follow someone like me, they'll just follow me. So make sure that they want to follow someone like you because you're being authentic to who you are. And when you are, you realize that it doesn't matter that the space is crowded. It's irrelevant almost, because you're you, and how could a space of one be crowded? So at the end of the day, just try to remember that you are your most valuable ingredient. The thing that you have that no one else has is you. So really try to remember that and lean in on that. And then the consistency, of course, perspective, good intent. You got to work your ass off. You have to work really hard and you have to want it. And I do think that there's a world where you get a side hustle or you get a job and this is your side hustle until this starts to kind of grow legs and wings and take off and fly, and then quit your job, if that's the direction that you want to go. But back to the management question, I got on a tangent there. I've chosen to do everything in-house. This is pretty rare. A lot of people have companies that they go to for management agents. There's a distinction between an agent and a manager. An agent is someone that like negotiates your deals, brand partnerships, all that kind of thing. I guess I should probably rewind and say there's two main ways that you make money. And the first main way, speaking for myself, collaborations and working with brands. The second main way is commission and affiliate links. So a agent will negotiate your contracts, which is very important to have. And a manager like manages everything holistically. I didn't have a manager for years. I've never really had like an official manager, but honestly, it's basically Audrey. Like Audrey's pretty much role has morphed into a manager over the years. I would say her and I kind of co-manage me because we discuss everything holistically. And then my agent will bring us an offer. We discuss it all holistically. So I've always done everything in-house, but that's not necessarily what most people do. I think there's benefits to both. I think if you sign with an agency, you get the benefit of having more access to brands because oftentimes they work with a lot of influencers and content creators. And, maybe if Aloe comes to me, which Lord bless Aloe, shout out, like, can we please finally work together? But if Aloe comes to me and I'm on the same management label as someone else, then now that agency has that contact. Now they can also pitch another creator. Hey, what about this person? Dear Aloe, what about this person? Like, do you also want to work with so-and-so? So you get more access to things like that because they have a pool of people to pull from. And that's a benefit of having an agency, a management team like that, et cetera. When you go someplace already established, I would say that's like one of the main benefits. Also leverage, knowing that like they have all these great creators, like they have more leverage to work with brands, get a lot of money. The benefit of doing it in-house, which is what I do, on the other hand, is that you have a little bit more individuality. I feel like sometimes when I look at people who are on management, like on a group management teams and agencies, everyone's content starts to look alike. Everyone starts to work with the same brands. And the content goes up the same day. And it's just, I don't personally love that as much. And so I chose to do it in-house. I'm really happy with that. I do think management is nice to have a layer of separation between you and the brand, to be able to be the creative and let someone else delegate that to someone else, let someone else come in, negotiate the contract and do that for you. But I do think that it's important to have some form of management when you get to that level. Now, given, of course, I emailed brands all myself at first until I got to like about 100K followers, honestly. So it was quite a while. This is not necessary now because micro influencers are a thing now, but that wasn't at the time. And so I just did it myself until I felt like I really needed someone. And then I brought someone else in-house, and that is still who I work with today, years and years later. How do you plan out your day and stay organized and focused? Love you and all your content. Thank you. Shout out to Amy. I love you back. I am not the most organized and focused person naturally at all. I really had to work hard at this. I would say a couple things. One, you kind of have to force yourself to stay focused, get up, get in a routine. Working out in the morning for me really helps. Get up early, I work out, I make my breakfast, I have my coffee, and then I'm ready to go for the day. When I don't do that, I'm significantly less happy throughout the day. I have a calendar. It's all Google Calendar. It's all color coordinated. Audrey is also very helpful. Kirsten, very helpful. When you get to the point where you can hire people that do things better than you do them in those categories, you hire them. I know what I'm good at, and I know that I'm the damn best at it. But I also know what I'm not good at and what I need help at. And that's where I bring people in. And it's important to do things that you can, as much as you can. And then when you get to a point where you're feeling stretched thin, hiring is very advantageous, because I always have the mindset, and this is true of growing a brand, starting a company, being a creator, anything, it is much better to have a smaller chunk of something large than have 100% of something small, and you will get to a breaking point. I've also always shared my team. I like to give credit where it's due. That's something that's really important to me. I was raised by a very entrepreneurial dad. My dad was the founder of his company, the CEO of his company, and he took care of his people. And so do I. That's important to me. I like to give credit where it's due. I think that there's like a new kind of trend coming up where people are sharing that they have teams. For years and years and years, though, most girls did not share, and they all had, a lot of them had teams for a long time, and they didn't really share them. It was kind of like, I did this and I found this and I made this and it's like kind of creating this weird false reality of like, holy shit, how are these girls getting all this stuff done in a day? And they're not. They have people that are helping them do it. And so I am proud to say that I have people helping me do what I do every day. And being organized and planning out my day are some of those things. Now, having said that, caveat here is I am a creative at heart. I am a businesswoman and a creative, and I have this like balance of that, which I'm grateful for in my brain. It's like very like my mom and dad in one, honestly. But I need a plan, and I like to be organized, and I have to stay focused in order to get things done. I'm happier when I do that, but I'm also creative and very scatterbrained in moments as well. And I've had Kirsten on the podcast, I've had Audrey on the podcast, and I'm pretty sure they both said in their interviews, like they can go off like the schedule and I go off the vibes. So as much as I like a schedule, I could also call you in the middle of the day and be like, fuck this day. We're changing. We need to move some stuff around. Like, I have an idea. We have to do this today. This is the day I'm doing this. I'm inspired. I'm excited. I'm creatively energized. I'm ready to go. So sorry, we're going to have to push this 3 days. So I think that working for yourself, there needs to be a balance of staying organized and staying focused. Google Calendar really helps with that. I love, and then the flexibility to pivot when you need to, because sometimes that's the best content, is when you need to pivot and you just do it in the moment. So a lot of that stuff, I just kind of fly by the seat of my pants on. And then there's a foundation where we slate in collaborations and things that have deadlines and need to get done at certain times. My meetings for DIBS, those aren't not things that I can cancel or move around really. And then there are things that I can move around, and I do when I want to and when needed. Also, I like to do a run of show, we call it. And at the end of every day, Kirsten will text in our group chat what we have up for the next day. That way I can ruminate on it that night. And in the morning when I wake up, I open my phone after I've done the rest of my routine and I look at everything and I say, okay, I have 2 podcast episodes to film today. I have a sponsored post for Tula. I need to send a video to an editor. And then the rest of my day I can create organic content around whatever it is I'm doing, whatever I want to do. So I love a run of show because that way I don't forget things. Otherwise, my brain is always running at 90 miles a minute and I would just forget. So that's also important. How did you get started? What's the time commitment? I would say have it as a side hustle first, rather than just like quitting your job and free falling into the abyss. I think you have to trust yourself. There is going to be a time when you do need to free fall, but I don't think you need to put that type of pressure on yourself from the beginning. Also, it is a hustle. See if you like it. If you love it, you're hungry for it, you're excited about it, you're going to double down on it. You're seeing success. People are liking it. You're loving it. Then, do it. Dive head first. But I would start it as a side hustle at first. Now, how I got started goes back to what I said in the beginning, which is I just did. I just, scrubbed my pennies together, bought a camera, took pictures out by the dumpster, and learned to code a blog. I just fucking started it. And if you want it bad enough, you will too. There's no secret sauce. There's no recipe. There's no one thing that I can tell you to say that you have to do to be, to start. There's not one formula that works for everyone. And that's the point. Every single person is different. Every person listening to this podcast today, you all have something unique and beautiful and different to offer. And if you can find that and harness it, then you're at a place where you really have something special that you can come and share. So I take my sword, my magical clear sword, and I knight you all the ability to go out into the world and to create. Now you are ready. You are officially ready. Go forth. And how much is the time commitment? All the time. I haven't taken a vacation in 10 years, and that's not good. Like, that's not healthy. I'm actually going to trip in a couple days and I'm hoping to unplug. But it's hard because you start to see everything through that lens of, that would be a really pretty picture. And, oh man, I just saw this and I have to tell people about that. Now, I do think I have found a nice work balance over the years. There's often times you'll see me, I go dark on the weekends. You'll see a picture or two, but not really. When Kinsley comes home from school, I put my phone down. I talk to her. Y'all probably notice I have not nearly been sharing her as much lately because I keep that time between us. It's private. It's a boundary I've started to draw lately. So I think I have a decent work-life balance on the influencer side of things. With DIBS, I'm always on because she's growing, she's thriving, she's evolving. She's still like a little bit of a toddler. She's still learning to speak. But I think the work-life balance is key, but the hustle is constant. And even when I actively choose to unplug and turn it off, I've gotten really good about putting my phone away when I'm spending time with people I love, whether it's on a trip or on a girls' night or with Kinsley, with my family, on a date, on a trip, on a weekend, when I'm by myself, whatever. Like, I do unplug and I put my phone down in a way. But it still don't really, it's hard to turn off that part of your brain. So the hustle is constant. Camera recommendations. Canon G7X Mark III is the one that I use, and I will link it in the description. It is very popular, so it can be pretty hard to get a hold of. But I'll drop it in the description for you guys if it happens to be in stock. I am so curious about income. How much money do you make from linking a product? Well, that's not a question that I can just like give you a blanket answer from because it depends what I link. But I would say the best way that I can explain this is it's a percentage of the price of the product. So say I'm linking this tank top I have on today. It is a very small percentage of the price of this tank top. It doesn't work if you just go and click a link and you look at something and you're like, oh, I really like that tank top. And then you go back in 2 days and you buy it later. I don't get commission for that link, nor does anyone else. So it's not just like a click, is at least not with reward style and the way that I do it and Shop My and all that. Like, it's not just a click is money. You have to actually go and purchase an item. The amount of money is very small per item. So the key is more items sold. So the percentage depends on what brand, what store, what et cetera it is. Typically, it can literally be anything from 3% of a product, so pennies, literally pennies, 30 cents, to 15% on a high level, 17%, but very rare. I would say what you see the most of is like 7 to 12%, 7 to 15% of a product. So are you selling something that's $15? You have to sell a lot of them to make enough money for it to matter. You're selling a dress that's $400. Okay, now I've taken 15% of $400. Now maybe I sell 10 of that. Like, so it all, the maths, it depends. how much, but it's not a set amount based on the product. It's a percentage of the price of the amount that you're selling, if that makes sense. All dependent on the website that you're pulling the product from, essentially. Does editing ever get easier? What do you use? It depends on the platform. Again, I edit like a lot of my TikToks. Majority of the TikToks edited are me. Sometimes Kirsten edits TikToks. We get used to it. You get into like a rhythm of it, and then it becomes really easy. There are more complex edits, like when I really want a ton of video clips clipped together, like things like that. And Audrey will do those. Kirsten will do those. Like I don't do the more complex edits, to be honest. A lot of times, CapCut. I mostly just edit in the platform itself. But I think CapCut is really popular. Is that easy to use? Very easy, Kirsten says. Kirsten was just saying you get better and better the more you edit, which is like what I was referencing earlier as well. Like it gets easier, you get better, edits get sharper, they're crisper. It also depends like what vibe you're going for. There's people whose transitions for an outfit, I'm like, holy shit, like how did those clothes just fly onto them from the air? I don't really edit things that are that complicated. It's just not really my style of content, but it looks so cool and people do it. So you got to kind of work with, your vibe and your style as well. How to start without being too salesy and pushy. This is also a line here, right, of I don't feel salesy because I genuinely love the stuff I'm talking about, and I would call my friends. So say I try a tank top and I'm like, this is the best tank top. We're staying on theme with the tank here I've ever tried in my life. Like I have to wear this tank top. My best friends need this tank top. Like it makes your boobs look so good. It snatches you in. Like if I'm that passionate about something, I'm not going to feel salesy about it because I feel as though I'm helping you. Like I am helping you find something that you should really like. So I would say making sure that you're talking about products that you genuinely love, things that are really authentic to you, and saying no to things. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to say no. Say no to brand partnerships. Say no to sponsorships. Never, and let me repeat this again, never value one paid collaboration, I don't care how good the money is, over the trust of your audience. I would say if there's one thing I've always been really great at, it's been that there has not been a collaboration that I've taken where I didn't genuinely love the product. And if you genuinely love the product, you don't feel salesy because I'm hooking you the hell up. I just put you on to my favorite body butter with the code. Like, you're welcome. Like, I just put you on to something. And so I don't feel salesy because I feel like you're my friend and I'm sharing with you something that I would be sharing with my best friend who I just FaceTimed 5 minutes ago. Like, I called Natalie the other night. I was like, you have to get the Primally Pure body butter. I'm so obsessed with it. Here's my code, which, by the way, like, this is not sponsored by them, but I'll drop my code in the description because why the hell not? But I'll hook you guys up. See, they're paying me $0. They're not paying for this at all. But it's like, you know what? At the end of the day, I'm that obsessed with this body butter that I called her, I FaceTimed her, and I was like, you need this. This one smells like this. This one smells like this. Here's how I apply it. I rub it between my hands. I put it all over my legs. Like, it looks so good that I put my DIBS status stick on top of it. We'll put the status stick code in the description too. Like, when you genuinely feel passionate about something, I called her to have that call, and then I turn my camera on and I film the sponsored content about it because that's how obsessed I am with it. So you have to be genuinely obsessed. Never, never take a sponsorship, a collaboration, or agree to something that you do not genuinely like. You will regret it. You will lose your audience's trust. And when you have that lost, you have nothing. So I want to underline that in bold and make sure that you guys really double down on that. Just, you don't feel salesy when you genuinely like it. And then also, I think that, like, I've said no to briefs. Even if I really like the product, we get what's called a brief before it. And it'll go into detail about what you're supposed to do for that brand. So it may say, here's the deliverables. We need you to say this, this, and that. And I have now gotten to a point where I will look at the brief, my team and I will look through the brief. And if it's like, you need to say this, I'm like, I would never say that. Like, that's never how I would describe this ever. So brands also need to let the creators have that freedom to be able to go and share a product as though they were FaceTiming a friend and calling a friend, because that is what I feel like I'm doing with you guys. I genuinely care about you guys. I want you to have like the best, coolest shit. And I do feel like I'm FaceTiming you guys to tell you about it. And so brands need to also make sure that they're allowing influencers to do their job and to share it in a way that is obviously getting across the points they need. And here's, this and that and what's in the formula, but also making sure that they have enough creative freedom for it to feel authentic. Because if you don't, there's just no point in doing it. So I will leave you guys with that. I love you. If you are wanting to start out in this space, I would just encourage you to go ahead and start. Be yourself. Find what works for you. And you can't find what works for you unless you start doing it. You're not going to know what works, what hits and what doesn't hit. And until you just do it. So just know that you got this. I love you. Fuck what anybody thinks about you. They're going to judge you no matter what. You can be the most perfect, coolest, nicest, kindest, world peace-solving, cancer-solving, hunger-solving person in the world, and someone who is jealous, sad, bored, lonely, miserable will always find a way to come and try to rip you apart. You just can't let them, because their opinion is irrelevant. So just know at the end of the day, if you want to do it, just do it. And don't let what anybody else says have any sort of weight on your life, because you will not get where you're going if you carry all that on your car. The engine won't start. I love you guys. See you in my next episode. Bye.